So, with Phil Donahue here on the eve of the inauguration of the Bush Library, and as part of the week-long events of the People's Response to that library, we just witnessed a very powerful documentary that you directed, Body of War, made all the more poignant by the recent news that the subject, the body of war in your film, Thomas Young, is decided that he's going to end his life soon. If you had an audience with, your movie does a great job of pointing out the abdication of responsibility of the Congress and the Senate, but if you had an audience with Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, Rice tomorrow, what would you say to them?
Our wars now are costing us $1 trillion apiece, and our kids can't afford to go to college. I would say to Mr. Presidents, we're building aircraft carriers and submarines. And 2 guys with pressure cookers closed the city of Boston. 19 guys with box cutters brought the New York City to its knees. We're fighting the last war. And let's stop. We're becoming a warrior nation. Let's reach out instead of lashing out. We don't think that's a radical thing to suggest. We know you have to protect the people, but don't do it by turning our back on the Bill of Rights. We shouldn't be putting a person in a cage for 10 years with no habeas corpus, no phone calls, no nothing. We shouldn't be torturing people, turning them upside down and pouring water down their nose. We shouldn't be listening in on people's phone calls and reading their email without judicial authorization. It's fundamental to this. We're chipping away at the bedrock of our democracy, and it isn't necessary. The framers were right. Look at that Bill of Rights again. We'll save more babies if we do.
What do you say to the people who would look at the statistics you cited, cite the examples you cited, and say the United States, the way we execute our foreign policy, is not a force for good in the world?
Well, we're breeding terrorists. Drones are the most cowardly instrument in the history of warfare. A guy sits on a padded chair in a control room in some hidden location, sees a television picture, and there they are, fires an incendiary device into clumps of people, and we are killing children. You don't have to take my word for it. As Casey Stengel would say, you could look it up. We are killing children. And the president is doing this in secret, behind closed doors. I mean, we've lost. If you don't want the Bill of Rights, then be brave enough to stand up and change it.
I spoke with Cindy Sheehan recently about Camp Casey, about the status of the peace movement, the anti-war movement, and it's not a secret, or I'm not breaking any news to say that Obama has continued these same policies that Bush has continued, and yet there's no way you would see something like Camp Casey happen now with a Democrat, with Obama in office. Your thoughts on that?
We're very, very disappointed. He's right on guns, he's making his effort there, but on the important issue of defense spending, targeting people to be killed in another country. That is not the America that my parents raised me to pledge my allegiance to. And I'm very disappointed that President Obama seems to be, not even focusing on this. And I just feel terrible about it, and so do a lot of my friends.
Let's talk about Thomas Young for a moment. I mean, he's made a choice not just to end his life, but to do so in a heroic kind of public way. And you spoke movingly tonight about how this was almost a spiritual quest for you. This letter that he sent to Bush and Cheney that went viral just moved so many people. Talk about, I guess, tactically the decisions and the things that he can do in the end stages of his life to make the most impact.
Well, it's a shame that he has to. We made this movie 9 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, and it's just now getting the recognition that we prayed for in the beginning. And it was the 10th anniversary, and it was Chris Hedges who did the story on the web, The Crucifixion of Thomas Young, and it was Thomas's letter, no doubt about it. And Thomas now has been on CNN. He's been called by the BBC. And he is pleased. Our hope was that the movie would share the pain because nobody else saw this. There are thousands of homes in this country dealing with the same issues that you see in our film, and they're not seen.
And in countries all around the world.
Absolutely so. And we never see them. Every major metropolitan newspaper in this country supported the invasion of Iraq. Think about that in the land of free press. Every major metropolitan newspaper supported the invasion of Iraq. And there were no weapons of mass destruction. Saddam was never a threat to this country, and Saddam had nothing to do with knocking down the towers. And we've lost almost 5,000 Americans.
What role does the media have? You were kicked out of MSNBC for making statements similar to this. What role does the media have in selling this, in selling the wars to the American people, selling the Obama policies, or brushing under the carpet the Obama policies on war? And how can we build a new media to get these stories out there?
Well, we've got to get unhooked from corporate media. I worked for a company owned by General Electric. Corporate media does not want to rock the boat. Corporate media is the boat. And it's very difficult to push back against an administration. It doesn't mean it's impossible. And everything doesn't suck. There's a lot of powerful, courageous journalism out there. But there are also millions of Americans who believe that to criticize the president when he's ramping up for war is unpatriotic. So at a time when we need free speech the most, we're told to shut up and sing. Bill Maher said it right. He said, they don't hate us for our freedom. They hate us because we're dropping bombs on their houses.
Seems clear.
Yeah. And, you know, we're not safer. And we want to build we should elect leaders who will reach out rather than lash out. It makes more likely that our children and our grandchildren will live in a world where they won't be worrying about getting on the wrong train or bus, or maybe entering the wrong marathon. We've got to understand that we're asking for it. This is not going to make us safer. It's amazing, and we have so much to share. Vladimir Putin just called Barack Obama. You know, Americans, certainly the right-wingers, don't want Barack Obama to call Vladimir Putin. We're American, we don't talk. Nobody wants to talk to Ahmadinejad, certainly not with Kim Jong-un of North Korea. Why not? Have a beer. Show them your photographs in your wallet.
Or don't build this military base in the Korean Peninsula.
I'm telling you, you know, we have 700 military installations around the world. This is madness. And if we say hello and shake hands with Putin, for example, with Ahmadinejad, you know, if we show them, it's hard to shoot a guy after he's shown you a picture of his kids. We should not walk around the playground like the biggest kid in school saying it's better if somebody from another country says we're exceptional.
Well, Phil, thank you very much for sharing Body of War and for being here for the People's Response this week.
Thanks for coming by and say hello.
Thank you very much.